You could feel the entire wrestling world freeze in disbelief when the words came out of his mouth. The lights were low, the smoke swirled, and the aura of a man who built his career on silence and mystique finally shattered the calm. The Undertaker, the dead man himself, looked straight into the camera, and without hesitation, without flinching, without second-guessing, he announced something that has split the WWE Universe right down the middle. He said that in 2026, the WWE Hall of Fame will welcome none other than Stephanie McMahon. And instantly, the noise was deafening. Cheers, boos, shock, disbelief, rage, excitement, all colliding in a storm the likes of which WWE hasn't felt in years. Because this isn't just any name. This isn't just any induction. This isn't just another deserving superstar finally getting their flowers. This is Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of Vince, the on-screen tyrant, the corporate queen, the power figure that fans have cheered and hated with equal passion. But here's where the real twist kicks in. It's not Triple H, it's not Vince himself, it's not Shane, and it's not any other corporate figure who stepped up to make that announcement. It's the Undertaker. The man who built an aura that no McMahon could ever own. The man who fought them in storylines, who defied them in kayfabe wars, who symbolized the anti-corporate force in the Attitude Era. The man whose loyalty to WWE was never about politics, never about bloodlines, it was about respect. So why Stephanie? Why now? Why him? This moment doesn't just raise eyebrows, it tears open the fabric of wrestling history and drags every fan back into decades of blood, sweat, betrayals, and legacies. Because if Undertaker, arguably the most respected, untouchable figure in WWE history, is the one putting Stephanie's name into the Hall of Fame spotlight, then maybe, just maybe, there's more to this than nostalgia. Maybe this is about rewriting what the Hall of Fame means. Maybe this is about the McMahon dynasty cementing itself as untouchable. Or maybe, just maybe, it's about Undertaker himself closing one last circle with the family that both made him and tried to break him. Think back. Cast your mind to the year 1999. Stephanie McMahon, wide-eyed, fresh on television, the innocent daughter of Vince, caught in storylines with the Undertaker himself. Remember the Ministry of Darkness? Remember that night when the dead man strapped her to a cross in the infamous black wedding angle? Fans were horrified. The McMahons were vilified. And in that moment, the entire wrestling world understood Stephanie wasn't just another character. She was destined to be a lightning rod for heat. She wasn't just a background player, she was the spark in some of the most controversial, jaw-dropping television WWE ever aired. And now fast forward nearly 30 years later, the same man who once raised her to the heavens in that horrifying storyline is the one raising her name into immortality. The poetry of it is wild. It's almost cruel. It's almost too fitting. But the question still burns in every fan's chest: does Stephanie McMahon deserve this? Let's not sugarcoat it. Stephanie McMahon's in-ring career? Forgettable at best. Sure, she held the women's championship once. Sure, she had those chaotic matches with Trish Stratus, with Brie Bella, with Ronda Rousey in storylines. But nobody, not one fan alive, is going to tell you that Stephanie McMahon is being inducted for her wrestling skills. This is about power, influence, control, backstage presence, the iron grip she and her family had over WWE for decades. And that's where the heat comes in. Because fans don't like being reminded that wrestling is a business. Fans don't like remembering that the Hall of Fame isn't just about match quality, it's about legacy. And Stephanie's legacy? It's complicated. On one hand, she's the woman who grew WWE's corporate reach. The branding, the sponsorships, the partnerships, Stephanie's fingerprints are all over the WWE machine that made it global. She carried the company into boardrooms. She stood on corporate stages. She made sure WWE wasn't just a circus act, it was a billion-dollar empire. On the other hand, she's the on-screen authority figure who spent years making fans' lives miserable. The billion-dollar princess, the manipulative heel, the smug face of corporate greed, the authority that fans booed out of arenas because she represented everything they hated about WWE's obsession with control. So here's the tension. If The Undertaker is the one telling us Stephanie deserves the Hall of Fame, are we supposed to buy it? Are we supposed to set aside decades of booing her, decades of storylines where she represented the evil empire, and suddenly nod along in respect? Or is this WWE's ultimate play, using the most respected voice in history to force fans to swallow a bitter pill? But here's what makes this moment so much bigger than Stephanie. This isn't just about her. This is about the McMahon name itself. Vince is already in the Hall of Fame. Triple H will be there soon if he isn't already. Shane will have his day. And now Stephanie is set to join them. This isn't just an induction, it's the McMahon family securing their place in the Hall of Fame as wrestling's royal bloodline. Whether fans like it or not, whether fans respect it or not, the Hall of Fame is being tied, locked, and chained to the McMahon dynasty forever. And Undertaker's role in this? It's like watching the final boss of WWE's mythology bend the knee. It's Undertaker saying, "This family is bigger than all of us. Their mark is eternal. That stings for some fans. That hurts. Because for years, Taker represented the resistance, the locker room leader, the silent protector of wrestling's purity. And now, he's holding open the gates of immortality for the very figure fans used to see him battle on screen. The irony is bitter, isn't it? The same Undertaker who once threatened Vince McMahon's empire in storylines, the same Undertaker who kidnapped Stephanie, the same Undertaker who stood against corporate corruption in kayfabe now being the messenger for Stephanie's Hall of Fame induction. And fans are divided. Some see it as poetic. Some see it as betrayal. Some see it as the natural order of things. And some are furious. Scroll through any wrestling forum right now, and the comments are a war zone. She doesn't deserve it. This is nepotism. She's a McMahon, of course they're putting her in. Undertaker should have refused to say it. And then, on the other side, Stephanie worked her whole life for this. Without her, WWE wouldn't be what it is today. Respect the legacy. But here's the real story, the one WWE doesn't want you to think about. This isn't just Undertaker honoring Stephanie. This is WWE testing its fans. This is them seeing how far they can push loyalty. This is them daring the WWE Universe to argue about what the Hall of Fame even means. Because let's face it, the Hall of Fame isn't a sports Hall of Fame. It's not just about titles, wins, or five-star classics. It's about narrative. It's about power. It's about who Vince and now Triple H decides is worthy of legacy. And Stephanie's induction is proof of that. And Undertaker being the one to deliver the news? That's not coincidence. That's not random. That's strategy. WWE knows Undertaker is bulletproof. They know if anyone else made the announcement, fans would explode with rage. But Undertaker? The man who carried the company through wars? The man who gave his body for 30 years? The man fans trust beyond anyone else? His word carries weight. His presence silences doubters. At least, that's what WWE hopes. Because while some fans bowed their heads in respect when Taker said Stephanie's name, others clenched their fists tighter. Others felt that burn in their chest. Others felt betrayed, like even the dead man himself had been absorbed into the McMahon empire. And here's the thing, WWE knew this was going to happen. You don't hand Undertaker a microphone and have him say Stephanie McMahon will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame 2026 without knowing the exact emotional earthquake it's going to cause. This wasn't just a decision, it was a test. The test is simple: how far can WWE push its fanbase into accepting the McMahon dynasty as not just a part of history, but the very foundation of it? Think about it. Undertaker announcing Shawn Michaels? Fans would have cried. Undertaker announcing The Rock? Fans would have cheered. Undertaker announcing Mick Foley? Fans would have applauded the poetry. But Undertaker announcing Stephanie? That's like watching your childhood hero take the hand of the villain and declare her worthy of sainthood. It's jarring. It's maddening. It's genius. Because WWE thrives on chaos. They thrive on making you mad enough to keep watching. And in this case, they've weaponized Undertaker's credibility. Let's rewind for a moment. Look at Undertaker's own Hall of Fame induction in 2022. Remember how fans gave him a standing ovation that lasted over 10 minutes? Remember how people cried, how even the toughest critics stood up and applauded because that was the one man nobody could argue against? Undertaker's Hall of Fame speech wasn't just an induction, it was a coronation of the most loyal soldier in WWE history. And now, just 4 years later, that same soldier is being used to anoint Stephanie McMahon. The symbolism is crushing. Because Stephanie's legacy is not about loyalty. It's not about sacrifice. It's not about matches that left her broken in the middle of the ring. Stephanie's legacy is about power, corporate deals, branding, a last name that gave her a throne no other woman could claim. And the fact that Undertaker is the one making this announcement feels like WWE forcing the audience to admit that power is just as important as performance. And fans hate that. Check the comments online. Hall of Fame should be for wrestlers, not executives. If Stephanie goes in, why not Linda McMahon? Why not Nick Khan? Why not every sponsor WWE ever had? And yet, the counterarguments keep piling up too. Without Stephanie, the women's revolution never gets greenlit. Without Stephanie, the partnerships that kept WWE alive never happen. She worked the boardrooms while others worked the ring. But here's the deeper cut: Undertaker wasn't just reading a script. This wasn't some corporate puppet show. He chose to deliver the message. And that choice is what makes it sting for so many. Because The Undertaker doesn't do anything without meaning. His appearances are rare. His words are rare. And when he shows up, it matters. So, did Undertaker just endorse Stephanie McMahon as a Hall of Famer? Or did he simply acknowledge the inevitable that no matter how much fans fight it, the McMahons own the narrative of WWE forever? And that's where the kayfabe story comes roaring back in. Because Undertaker and the McMahons have a history that runs deep, twisted, and almost biblical in its storytelling. Remember the corporate ministry? Remember the heel authority era where Stephanie, Vince, and Triple H turned WWE into their personal empire while Undertaker lurked in the shadows, half enforcer, half enemy? Remember how many times Undertaker stood against the authority, protecting the likes of Daniel Bryan, or simply refusing to bend to the will of the corporate agenda? And yet, here he is, years later, bending just enough to lift Stephanie's name into immortality. That's the full circle moment WWE loves to create. The villain becomes the hero. The enemy becomes the honored. The story ends not in conflict, but in coronation. But if you think the fans are divided, imagine the locker room right now. Imagine the whispers backstage. Wrestlers who spent their lives grinding for that one shot, who broke their bodies night after night, who lived on the road just for the hope that one day their name might echo through Hall of Fame speeches. And now, Stephanie McMahon, the woman who was born into power, is stepping into the same hall they bled for. Some wrestlers will clap politely. Others will grind their teeth in silence. Because that's the unspoken truth of WWE. The Hall of Fame isn't about fairness. It's about politics. And Stephanie McMahon has always played politics better than anyone else. And then there's the timing. 2026, 2 years from now. Why now? Why her? Is this WWE setting the stage for the McMahon family's final legacy stamp before Triple H fully transforms the company into his vision? Is this Stephanie's curtain call, her moment of recognition before disappearing completely into the business world? Or is this WWE quietly admitting that no matter how much they change, the McMahon bloodline will always hover over everything? And Undertaker's role? It feels like the final chapter in a decades-long dance between the dead man and the McMahons. From the Black Wedding in '99, to the countless wars against corporate villains, to now the Undertaker himself speaking their legacy into existence. The fans who are angry right now have every right to be, but the fans who are applauding also have every right. Because love her or hate her, Stephanie McMahon changed WWE forever. She didn't change it in the ring. She didn't change it with classics. She changed it with power. She changed it with authority. She changed it with her voice. And the truth is, the Hall of Fame was never just about matches. If it was, half the names and there wouldn't be there. It's about moments. It's about impact. It's about history. And Stephanie McMahon's history is undeniable. But let's not let WWE off the hook so easily. Because the way they delivered this message, through Undertaker, is a masterclass in manipulation. They know you respect him. They know his word carries the weight of 1,000 legends. They know that if anyone else said it, the backlash would have been nuclear. So they wrapped the bitter pill of Stephanie's induction inside the voice of the one man you'd never boo. And maybe that's the part that stings the most. Because Undertaker wasn't just speaking for himself. He was speaking for WWE. He was speaking for a legacy that fans can't control. He was speaking for a Hall of Fame that will always bend to the will of the McMahons. So when Stephanie McMahon walks onto that stage in 2026, the crowd will roar. Some will boo. Some will cheer. But all will watch. Because that's what WWE does best. They make you feel something, even if it's anger, even if it's disgust, even if it's reluctant respect. And when Undertaker raises his hand to introduce her, fans will have to decide, do you clap for the legacy of power, or do you hold the line for the purity of the ring? That's the story. That's the divide. That's the genius. And maybe, just maybe, that's why Undertaker was the only man who could deliver it.